Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Thanks for joining me. And today we're going to be talking about something I don't think I've ever talked about on this show or made a show about, and that is soccer, or what the rest of the world calls football, which makes a lot of sense since soccer is actually played primarily with the feet, unless you're a goaltender. and yeah, our football here in America is played mostly with your hands, so go figure. Anyway, you know what you got to do before we get into that. Go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, and that notification bell on your screen there. Make sure you're aware of when new episodes come out. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, you can find that anywhere you get audio podcasts. Just open your search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come up. Make sure you leave us a comment either here on YouTube or on your audio podcast platform. And please give us that 5-star review. All that helps more sports fans find us, helps us find more sports fans. And make sure, if you enjoy the show and the content, don't keep it to yourself, share it with other sports fans. Now, let's get to it. All right, so I never talk about soccer on the show, but I felt it was important to do that because from a sports journalist standpoint, a couple reasons. Number one, depending on when you're watching this, tomorrow, Sunday, December 18th, is the World Cup final, and that is the single biggest sporting event on the face of the earth. Sorry, Americans, I know you want to think it's a Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl is probably number 2, but the World Cup final, with soccer being by far the greatest and most popular game on this planet, the World Cup final is the most watched single event, and so there it is. But with all that said, we have an incredible matchup of France looking to repeat versus Argentina, and Lionel Messi, arguably the greatest player of all time, looking for the storybook ending. Now with that, how did we get here? Quick point of order. The semifinals featured Argentina versus Croatia and France versus Morocco. Both had Croatia and Morocco won this game, would have been considered an upset. And one of the things I thought was interesting from a storyline perspective, Morocco was the first African, first Arab, and first Islamic nation to reach a World Cup semifinal. And coincidentally, that country is all rolled into one: African, Arab, and Islamic. So you have that. And that would have been cool to see, just in terms of something new. You know, it's sports. We always love to see the powerhouses and the dynasties on the biggest stage, but it's also cool every now and then to see the upstart get there. Kind of just, it lends a bit of a breath of fresh air, credibility, viability to a particular sport. But neither one of those teams were able to get through. They'll both be playing on Saturday for the third place position. But what we will see is probably a dream for every soccer writer in the world, probably a dream for every sports journalist in terms of storylines. And what is that? That's France versus Argentina. I mentioned France won the 2008 World Cup, and their superstar is 23-year-old Kylian Mbappe, who is arguably the best player in the world at this point, and he saves his best play for the biggest stage. In 2018, he won the Golden Boot, which is basically the top player in a given tournament, and I think he was top goal scorer as well. So he won that in helping his team lift the trophy, and he's got an opportunity to double up on that this year. And coincidentally, his birthday, his 24th birthday, is December 20th. So what a birthday gift to himself that would be if he could help his country and his team win the biggest championship in sports. So you've got that. On the other side, you have Lionel Messi, who many believe is the greatest player of all time. And if you look at it from a statistical and accomplishment level, there is a very, very legitimate argument to be made for that. But what's missing? Again, that World Cup victory, which is the greatest in their sport and arguably the greatest team sport championship you can win in the world. So you've got Messi versus Mbappe, and that's no disrespect to the other players on both of those squads. But as we know, team sports, while they are team sports, we often boil them down to their superstars and the faces of their franchises. And that's without a doubt Mbappe, and that's without a doubt Lionel Messi. So I find it so interesting that Messi, who many believe is the greatest player of all time, has a chance to probably cement that with a World Cup victory. But Mbappe may be the best player in the world right now, and he's only 23 years old. It's crazy. Speaking of 23 years old, with this tournament, Mbappe has passed Pelé, the great Pelé, who, if you believe in such things, go ahead and send a prayer up for him. He's very ill with cancer in a hospital in Brazil. But Mbappe just passed Pelé for most goals scored in World Cups before the age of 24. So he's done that. And the amazing thing, Mbappe in 2 World Cup appearances already has 9 goals in 15 matches. So that is that's amazing. But where it really gets me in terms of storylines as a sports journalist is this: Lionel Messi and Kylian Mbappe are teammates for their club team in Ligue 1 in France, playing for Paris Saint-Germain, which is one of the best teams in that league and one of the best teams in Europe. So these guys are teammates. They know each other extremely well. They know each other's skills. They know each other's weaknesses, which both have very few. And they will be facing off for the championship, the World Cup championship. What would it say if Mbappe can have a great performance and lead his team to back-to-backs? That'd be like the first time since, I believe, the 50s or 60s when Brazil did it. Or what would it say for Messi and Angel Di Maria and the rest of his teammates to win the World Cup and finally lift it, and, as I said, cement his status as arguably the greatest player of all time? In my estimation, he wins the World Cup. He is the greatest player of all time. Now, who knows how long that may or may not last, right? If Mbappe continues on his trajectory in terms of being one of the best players in the world, keeps winning championships, like wins a second World Cup, and then, you know, he gets league championships in France, and then he gets Champions League championships in Europe, and he's racking up the stats the way he continues to do. Man, who knows what the ceiling is for this kid? It's really incredible to see. I think this is going to be a tremendous match. I'm not well enough versed in the sport of soccer to talk about it on a tactical level, but just in terms of the star power, seeing these two guys, France's all-time international leading goal scorer, Giroud, he's on that team. He has a very good chance to be dangerous. I mean, I think if you enjoy sports and if you enjoy elite level competition, this is something maybe you sit back and watch. Again, I know as Americans, soccer is not our love. It's not our pastime, but just to see outstanding highest level play on a global level, because all these guys, you know, they come from all these different countries. They play in all these different leagues around the world. They test their mettle literally against the best from around the world. And that to me has to say something. And then, you know, we watch the game and then you kind of feel the excitement of everything that's going on. And, you know, you just imagine what it's like in France and what it's like in Argentina. And it's got to be absolutely insane. Quick story. When I served in the Army, I was in Germany in 2008, and the UEFA Cup, which is basically the European Championship, was being held in Germany. And I believe Germany won it that year, 2008. And I can tell you, you know, as someone who obviously was born in and grew up in the States, never really appreciated soccer, being over there for that, the atmosphere, the feeling, it was totally different. I'm not sure what I can compare it to in terms of a tournament and a tournament environment, or even the single game environments. I guess it was probably, maybe if you want to compare it, in excitement and liveness and rowdiness, or whatever you want to say, to maybe if you're a college football fan and you go to like Auburn, Alabama, or you go to Michigan, Ohio State, or Notre Dame, USC, something like that. Like, it was that incredible of an environment on a professional level. Maybe Cowboys, Commanders, or Steelers and Ravens, something like that. Lakers, Celtics. Obviously, these games are, you know, one and done. They're not a 7-game series, so maybe basketball is not an applicable comparison. It's not apples to apples. But the point I'm trying to make is the environment you get, the feeling you're there when you're among that, is absolutely insane. And that's just in terms of soccer. That's not something that we get in this country. That's not something we feel. So I think maybe, again, it's just not our game. So maybe that's why a lot of Americans don't necessarily kind of get into it or feel the excitement involved. But like I mentioned, this is the single greatest and largest and most popular sporting event in the world, and obviously the championship match. And then to have the two out of the 3 best players on the planet going at it for the championship, I don't think from a storyline perspective, or from an athletic perspective, or from a competitive perspective, you could ask for any more than that. Where does that put Mbappe in terms of his position globally in the sport? All right, so again, if you haven't already, make sure you click that like, that subscribe, and that notification bell. And can't wait to hear from you. And I'll be back next time. And I'm out. Peace.